What is the most disrespectful shit someone has done to you? When I worked a kiosk, someone sneezed into their hand and wiped it on my back when they passed by. What the fuck? I actually said that out loud. That's some grade A fucked up shit right there. IFKN laughed at this one. BTW not yours OFCU/Rashaxx1 I swear to god I would have smacked them. Lol WTF the audacity to just wipe a sneeze on some random person would just like lock up my brain. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and hypothesize that Op is female or a small guy and the sneezer was a bigger dude. More likely that Op is a dude and the dude who did it was with a group of friends. People are way more ballsy in groups. This is definition one of the most disrespectful things I've seen in this thread. Throw up on them to assert dominance. No, the correct way to assert dominance in that situation is to beat them up. When they're blacked out, then puke on them. In their mouth. The first response I see in this thread, and I'm already prepared to smack the shit out of a person I've never met. That deserves a face punch. That's so disgusting. That person needs to be taught a good fucking lesson about hygiene and basic manners. Or a lesson in respecting other people regardless of job, social status, etc. And maybe a lesson on drinking their meals through a straw. I feel like, if you're wiping a sneeze on someone, you know what there is to know about hygiene and basic manners, and are choosing to ignore it. That reminds me of the time when I was in middle school. During lunch, my classmate wiped her nasty, oily hands on the back of my shirt and just walked away. She tried to play it off as a pat on the back when I confronted her, and even had the audacity to call me a bi*******. It's not just rude, it's completely illegal. Especially now during Corona time. You better have ran after them and broke all of their fingers. If someone did that to me, I would probably do worse. This is awful, but also made me audibly laugh. This is straight up assault. Next time it happens, call the police. We really need to bring back shaming stocks in town centers. I feel for you. Similar situation. I was sitting in a chair waiting for a conference presentation to start. Person behind me grabbed the back of my shirt and used it like an impromptu tissue. There is super hell for people like these. They are at the top in it. I would have punched that person. This one made me laugh out loud. It's outrageously disrespectful. The fact that it's a complete stranger too. I can't stop laughing. Someone's about to die. Imagine someone doing this during this whole corona thing. Mayo. That's fucked up. Some people have no sense. Funny, my brain wanted to read then they passed out at the end there. WTF is wrong with people? Reminds me about the one time someone stepped in cat pee and then wiped it off on my jeans leg. So gross. I worked security at a nightclub for several years. had 2 different patrons spit directly into my face. I'm probably the nicest bouncer you will ever meet. I've never actually hit anyone on the job. Having said that, these guys found out what it takes to get me to shoot a double leg and drop N. The skinnier one actually went airborne. I hope you punched them in the face. That makes me angry. Corona crime. I laughed at this, but what the fuck? I sincerely wish the worst on the person that did that. WTF. Sorry that happened to you, that is disgusting. Good restraint for not flying off the handle and doing what many would want to do. I assume you didn't anyway, unless you have access to Reddit from prison. Want me to call Deadpool? A Sparta kick to the mouth would have been well deserved on their part. My first job as a photography intern, my boss posted on Facebook that he was going to fire me hours before he told me. We were friends on Facebook at the time. But why would he even post that in the first place? What a weirdo. He wanted to embarrass his 18-year-old intern, I guess. I'm sure others have had it way worse, but when I was about 17, I was assembling a ride-on train track, about 2 feet between rails, for an indoor amusement park when the owner of the company came in. He decided to help me. I don't know why. I didn't ask for help, and didn't need help. He helped me put a couple track segments together, and decided that was enough work for him, so he got up off the floor, and wiped his greasy dusty hands off on my jeans. With my leg in them. I was seriously incensed. With my leg in them, so obvious, and yet so much better. I'm trying to picture wiping my dirty hands on the pants of the people I'm closest to in the world, and I can't wrap my head around it. That's either a complete lapse in brain function that he still kicks himself about today, or that man is totally dysfunctional. I think if it were my husband, and I knew he was wearing like house painting / yard work clothes that exist for the purpose of getting dirty, and knowing that I'm the one who would have to do that laundry anyway, I could imagine wiping my filthy hands on him as a bit of deliberate silliness. In no other circumstance does this make any sense. It was the first day of one of my college courses and we were telling everyone our names. I said mine, and the professor said my husband wanted to name our son that, but I didn't want him to get made fun of. Somewhat related, but when I started my last job I went in for orientation and to fill out my employment paperwork, and the head of ours told me that her daughter and I shared a name, well actually a nickname. Because though she and her husband loved my name as a nickname, they wanted their daughter to have a more professional sounding legal name. She didn't even seem to realize that she'd said anything I might find offensive. Captain Rip would be a weird name for a kid. It's a better name for an adult. My ex-husband and I were on the road to divorce. I had done absolutely everything I could possibly think of to turn us around, and as a last-ditch effort, I wrote him a letter. I knew it had a 0.1% chance of doing anything, so it was also kind of a thank you for the good years letter too. We were living with his parents because originally, we sold our house to make an upgrade. I guess that was his window of opportunity. Anyway, his mom found the letter, and not only read it, but took pictures of it, and shared it with multiple people, who started tearing me apart via text. How did I know this? She never hears her phone go off. so I would usually bring it to her. I went to do that and saw the mentions of a letter and saw the context of what was sent. I didn't say anything, just set the phone back down and went outside to get a breath of air. Later that week, she said she was tired of me being around and that he needed me to sign the papers then and there, and I didn't get a say in anything. I mentioned sharing the letter and she said she was allowed to do that because it was in her house. Therefore, it was her property. Still trying to wrap my head around that one. And then they sat there and watched TV while I packed my things. How are you doing now? Honestly, pretty rough. It's better in a lot of ways, but the same level of sadness is still there every day. Not just because of the divorce, but much of my life has felt like being stuck in quicksand. It doesn't matter if I fight it or wait things out, I just keep sinking. I'm still friends with my ex-husband, and though I've forgiven him for everything that happened, just the fact that it did still eats away at me. We aren't the kind of friends that hang out but rather check in and make sure the other is okay. Unfortunately, most of my animals had to stay at his parents' house. 2 of them passed away at the beginning of the year. I just moved my goat to a different location, and then I believe I have a place lined up for my horse. Every time I drive down that driveway, I get nauseous. I hate it. They were my family for 14 years. I don't think she ever truly liked me, especially that I didn't give her grandchildren. But when I got sick, we didn't know what I had, and we didn't want to make things worse or pass it on. I just found out this year that it's lupus and Sjogren's, plus a handful of other things, after 7 years. Just had my gallbladder removed, and now my liver enzymes are 5x higher. Plus going through surgery and recovery alone was exhausting. I don't have a ton of support. I find myself loving people that don't love me back or seem to even care. I'm not sure I'll be able to afford my horse, and that is devastating itself. Pretty sure the animals are their only beings happy to see me, besides my mom, who needs a double lung transplant, and my grandmas. I just keep trying, keep hiding behind a smile, and somehow making it to the next day. I hope that you're able to get through this difficult time. You deserve much more than what you've had to deal with. I hope the surgery recovery continues on a good path.